Hello, 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 and welcome back to Mondays with Matt. I am so grateful to have all of you here, whether you're watching live or watching on the replay. Welcome. It's a blessing to be able to connect with you every week and have this beautiful, dynamic, co-creative experience that is Mondays with Matt. For those of you that may be new to me, or let me just, while people are jumping on, I'm back in Portland. back in Portland. I'm back in Austin. I am not back in Portland. Hi, Jade. So nice to see you. What's up? Hi, Louisa. I'm back in Austin after my 2-week Costa Rican adventure and experience and exodus. And I'm telling you, thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer says, welcome home. Wow. What a journey the last 2 weeks have been. The amount of healing and the amount of growth and the amount of layers of things I peeled back and worked through over the course of the last 2 weeks was absolutely profound. Hi, Bree, so nice to see you, and Brittany's here. Hi, Ayana. I have been literally on this it was a quantum leap Nantucket sleigh ride over the last 2 weeks, and I'm going to talk about that, and I'm going to talk about what I think is the most important thing when you've gone through a major experience that so few people really take the time to talk about, right? And I'm going to do that. So welcome. Give me a 1. Let me know you're excited to be here for Mondays with Matt. For those of you that don't know, my name is Matt Schaefer. I'm a transformational speaker and coach for women. I coach women around empowerment, connection, and relationship. And I am absolutely obsessed with the work that I do and the women that I serve. My marvelous, magical, magnificent magnets. Many of whom watch this show each and every week. And this is my weekly show, Mondays with Matt. My weekly co-creative, dynamic, improvised, flow state Facebook Live that I have been doing every Monday, every week since January 2nd of 2017. Yes, you heard me right. We are going on 4 years or 5 years. I don't know. I need to do the math on that. If it was January 2nd of 2017, that means all of 2017, all of 2018, all of 2019, all of 2020, and so this will be 2021. I'm in 2021, so good God, coming up on 5 years. That's crazy. Hi, my moon, so nice to see you. And this is a weekly Facebook Live that I have been doing every week for almost 5 years on all the things that are alive for me in my life and in my transformational journey. So spirituality, love, relationships, leadership, emotional intelligence, basically whatever I'm experiencing and I'm living in my life, I come to you once a week and we have a dynamic co-creative conversation around it. So it is your participation, it is your engagement that helps create the magic of this show. So please talk to me, respond to me. And let's do this together, shall we? Are y'all on board? Give me a 2 if you're on board. Linnea Derby says, I'm so happy I'm finally able to watch live. Been so busy. Miss you, Matt. We love you. Oh, thank you, Linnea. I miss you. And yeah, I've missed y'all too. I know I've been all over the place, but I was doing a lot of very deep work on myself that was desperately needed. And I hope y'all have read my Facebook post that I did recently and gone through, and I'm going to recap a little of what I expressed in that Facebook post to you about my journey to this point at which I'm at right now, because the topic of this week's Mondays with Matt, which I think is so an important topic that I don't think gets enough credit or enough lip service in personal development work, is the concept of integration and the importance of integration in the personal development experience. Because here's the thing, y'all. A lot of times we get caught in a cycle of going. Am I right or am I right? How many of you have got yourself caught in a cycle where you're just moving forward and things are happening and you're responding to them and shit's happening and you do not give yourself, you don't feel like you ever have a chance to stop. You don't feel like you ever have time to catch your breath. You don't feel like you ever have time to really reflect on what's happening, how your life is changing, how you're changing. Give me a 1 if that makes sense. Give me a 1 if that has happened to you in your own life. I'm going to see if this is a little better with this light off. Okay. Is that better? I don't know. I had that light on. It was a little intense. I'm missing a light. One of my lights doesn't work. I got to figure it out. So this is what I'm saying about, is that we have nonstop lives. We have nonstop lives, and I think a lot of times we get into the habit and the pattern of constantly moving on to the next thing, on to the next course, on to the next relationship, on to the next job, on to the next experience, more, next, going. And when we do that, you know what's happening? You know what's happening is we are changing, we are evolving, we are experiencing so many different alterations to ourselves emotionally, vibrationally, and energetically. And you know what we are not giving ourselves time to do? Time to integrate those changes. Time to process those feelings. Because when we're constantly putting ourselves on the move, right? We're almost like deflecting. There's a psychological principle called manic deflection, where people will keep themselves busy as a way of deflecting and avoiding the time to process, the time to heal, the time to integrate what it is that they've experienced, right? And no one is guiltier of this than me. Louisa says, I definitely want to slow down. Moon says, we need time to heal. Yes, we need time, and we need to slow the fuck down in order to do that, right? And I want you to ask yourself right now, how many of you have engaged in manic deflection? How many of you have hid or deflected from the medicine or the lessons of your experiences by just staying busy? Give me a one if you have done that. Jennifer says, I'm a master at deflection. Jade says, feels like society has set it up for us that we don't have time to look inward and check in with ourselves. Yeah, and so society may have created a dynamic or a paradigm where it is more challenging to do that. Okay? But here's the thing. Is it impossible? Is it impossible to take the time? Or is it just kind of challenging to do it? You can create that time for yourself. Okay, Louisa says guilty as charged. Okay, so a lot of y'all that are watching can relate to this. And again, I'm as guilty of this as anybody. Okay, over the last 3 months, right? From August until going to Costa Rica, I had the most significant breakup. I had the breakup of the most significant relationship of my life. The woman I thought was going to be the mother of my children. And then I rolled right into deciding I was moving to Austin, looking for a place in Austin, doing a course launch for 5,000 women, facilitating that course launch, finding my place in Austin, doing my sales cycle, doing my course, fulfilling the course for those folks. Then moving across the country, packing all my shits, sorting out all that stuff, driving across the country with my dad in a 40-foot rig, redlining on caffeine the whole way, getting down to Austin, partying with my dad for 4 days at Austin city limits, drinking ourselves into oblivion, the entire experience, partying our asses off. Then it was frantically getting the house set up. I had 10 days to get the whole house set up. My mom came out. I got my parents in the house together. And I'm just going. And then all of a sudden, my parents are gone. And I've been just spinning like a fucking top in my life. And I realized I had only cried about losing Becky Jean twice. I had not given myself any concerted time to really sit back and reflect on the meaning that relationship had, or how frustrating it was to have invested so much of my time and my energy in Portland and having it just not fucking work out, and then the move across the country and all the anxiety and all the stress of all that, the pain of all this stuff, and I just realized that I just was. Every one of those things were just layering up on me and layering up on me and layering up on me. And then finally, my parents left and I'm just this brittle, shaking, neurotic, exhausted, adrenally fatigued person you know, and it was a huge example of just how far out of alignment I got by just running onto the next thing, onto the next thing, onto the next thing, onto the next thing, right? And so when I got to Costa Rica, and last week I talked about this, you know, in returning to myself, returning to ourselves, you know, which was last week Monday with Mats, which I highly recommend that you watch if you haven't watched it already. Like, I committed this time to processing and healing and integrating those last 3 months of my life. And when I say integration, I mean taking the time to fully process the things that we've experienced, slowing down, creating space for yourself to do that. Okay? And I did a lot of deep healing work while I was in Costa Rica. You know, I was able to fully process all of my feelings and my pain and my sense of loss around my relationship. I was able to process and really make peace with my time in Portland and all the journey that I went through being in that city, right? And really like process and integrate all these transitions and all these radical transitions and really come to grips with like, this is my life now. My life is here in Austin. My life is completely disconnected from Becky Jean's life, you know. And I sit at the precipice of an incredible new frontier of my life, right? And I get to operate in my life in a different way because even that trip in Costa Rica, it was a whirlwind of healing and transformation and huge experiences and aha moments. Does this make sense? And so now I'm back in Austin, right? And so, of course, the temptation is to get right on the hamster wheel and start going again. But now I'm making a conscious choice to slow down. I'm officially off caffeine, by the way. Day 4 of being off caffeine. Give me a 2 if you're proud of me for that. And I'm taking the time to integrate all the growth, all the lessons, all the healing that I went through on that journey, right? And it's very important after you've had an experience of rapid transformation or of radical growth or of radical change, that you take time and space on the back end of that experience to integrate that experience, to really fuse it into your life and to fuse it into your behavior. So what I'm doing this week, the week of Thanksgiving, is I'm taking time to actually take all the lessons, all the insights, all the healing that I experienced in Costa Rica and integrate it into my life, to use it to materially change the way that I operate in the world. Are you all with me? And that only happens through slow, conscious, deliberate behavior. And that's what I'm committed to, because I've realized that just going and spinning like a top and just moving forward with this frenetic, caffeinated fucking energy, I mean, I do get stuff done that way, but it's not sustainable and it's burning me out. It's coming at my expense. It's destroying my adrenals. It's leaving me with a life where I'm just in constant anxiety and fear. And one thing I realized as I connected with myself down in the jungles of Costa Rica is that, like, I have up until recently, I think I have felt this, I had this story in my head that the only way I can create, that the only way I can produce results, the only way I can move forward in my business and in my life and in anything is through this like neurotic, fear-based, caffeinated energy, that I could only move forward through stress and anxiety. And because that's been my story, because that's been my rule set, that's the way I've always done it. And can any of y'all relate to that? Okay? So when I talk about integration, it's integrating a new paradigm. It's integrating the lessons that I learned in Costa Rica. It's integrating the healing. And by integration, I mean I'm making it a part of who I am. I'm making it a part of my daily behavior. I'm making it a part of my life. I'm making it a part of the fabric of who I am now, right? And I'm going to talk a little bit about what that integration looks like for me. And I want you to ask yourself, have you taken the time in your own life to slow down? Have you taken the time in your own life to ask yourself, what have my recent experiences been teaching me? And have I taken the time to learn and integrate those lessons? That's the Matt challenge for this week. I want you to look at your life over the past, take a period of time, like the last 3 months, the last 6 months, whatever the last period of rapid change has been in your life, and ask yourself, have I taken the time to really reflect upon the lessons that I've learned, the growth that I've experienced, the change that I've undergone, right? The transformations, the shifting of relationships. Have I allowed myself to truly feel the pain of losing someone? Have I allowed myself to really process the shift of a new relationship or a new job or the end of a chapter of my life? Have I taken the time to really learn everything that experience had to share with me, and have I integrated it into my life? Because if you're not integrating these experiences into your life, you are not getting the full value from them. You are not operating with a full appreciation or a full sense of presence for what you've experienced, okay? And that only happens when we slow down and we allow ourselves time to reflect. And we allow ourselves to be consciously connected to how we've changed and how the world around us has changed. Carmela says, wow, what a coincidence, especially Matt Schaefer, welcome back. I had to slow down the past 5 weeks intentionally because I was self-developing the self-development. I love it. Deniz just arrived in Cozumel. Spontaneous solo getaway. Get it, Deniz. Louisa says, there's no peace in rushing. There isn't. Rushing is either a deflection or an avoidance mechanism or a neurotic response to, thinking life has to be that way. And there is no peace there. Give me a 1 if you want peace in your life. And Joanne says, also my sister's wedding. Yeah, so in all that shit that I mentioned, I didn't even mention my sister's wedding. And I had my sister's wedding in the middle of all that. It was one of the most crazy, turbulent, transitionary periods of my life. Truly. And I made it through it, and I paid the price. I paid the price. I paid the cost of admission of it, Let's see. Bobby says, so glad I got here. I have not had a chance to hear your story. I knew it would be good. Hugs. Oh, thank you, Bobby. I appreciate that. Shirley. Hi, Shirley. Shirley is here. Giselle says, now is where the work starts. And that's a great point, Giselle, is that, it's one thing to just go through the experiences. But it's in the integration. It's in taking, and that was something that that our shaman down in the jungle, we have a shaman that does the Wachuma ceremony. Wachuma is San Pedro. It's a psychedelic cactus, and it's the 3rd day of our 3-day retreat series, of our 3-day retreat ceremony that we do in Costa Rica. And one of the themes he kept coming back to, because basically what Wachuma does, what San Pedro does, is it's a heart-opening medicine. So it really gets you to connect with your heart and open up and heal the pain and the trauma that you've stored within your body, within your heart, and release it so that you can, operate in the world in a different way, And so what he said is that, Wachuma is not a way of life. This plant medicine is not a way of life. It is a tool. It's a tool that you use to do work, and then you take that work back into your world, and then you live it in the world. If you're not taking this work, if you're not taking the work you're doing here, if you're not taking the time to do the work here in this ceremony with the commitment and the intention to take it back into the world with you and change your life with it, then you're wasting everyone's time. So if you are doing courses, if you are doing personal development, and you're doing it and you're learning stuff and you're having breakthroughs, but you're not taking the time to integrate it into your life, you're wasting your time. If you're going through massive experiences in your life, huge traumas, huge transitions, huge changes, and you're going through these huge experiences, but then you're not taking the time to learn the lessons from them and integrate them into your life and use them to adapt and adjust your own behavior and your own way that you're showing up, guess what? You're wasting those experiences. Does this make sense? Give me a 1 if this makes sense. And this only comes, every experience is here to teach you. Every relationship is here to teach you. Every season of your life is here to teach you. But are you fucking listening? Are you willing to hear the lesson, even if it's a lesson that maybe you don't want to hear? Sometimes we don't like the medicine. Sometimes we don't like the truth of what the medicine is trying to teach us. And I get that. But just because we don't like it doesn't mean that we get to ignore it. Are you with me on this? And so this is why I'm saying integration, it may not be the sexiest topic I've ever done Mondays with Mass on, but I don't think there's a more important topic that I'm ever going to talk to you about. Because one of the things, I got a lot of downloads, I got a lot of wisdom, I got a lot of things that came through to me on this experience. And one of the things that came through to me is, and this came through to me last time and I ignored it, but this time I didn't, is that, I get to not do caffeine. I get to not do caffeine. Caffeine does not get to be a part of my life. Because it fuels that cycle of me going into hamster wheel mode and running and rushing and just like being this like neurotic whirlwind of behavior and activity and ignoring my thoughts and my own feelings, and sort of disconnecting from my own physiological and emotional well-being. You feel me here? And so I'm 4 days off of caffeine because that's me integrating a lesson that I keep getting over and over and over in these ceremonies. And I get to find a way of life that does not include significant amounts of caffeine. Will I go back to drinking decaf coffee at some point that has, 5 milligrams of caffeine or something at some point? Probably. I'll probably go back to doing that. But I cannot do significant amounts of caffeine. It massively fucks me up. I cannot drink heavily. It massively fucks me up. Are these things that I want to hear? No. Are these lessons that I want to learn? Are these lessons that I really want to integrate? Do I want to be able to have a cup of coffee sometimes and have a drink sometimes? Absolutely. But I can't go down that road heavy ever again. I just can't. It's massively distorting to me. And again, these aren't lessons that I necessarily want to integrate, but I know that I need to integrate them. I get to integrate them if I want to live a conscious, heart-centered, connected, present, fulfilling, joyful life. Are you with me? Joanna Bateman says, I've slowed down before the most chaotic 3 weeks of my life, moving back home to Missouri. Oh, Joanne, what an adventure. Boom. Louisa loves this topic. Fantastic. Man, I'm probably so far behind on comments. Sorry, I've just been flowing with y'all. Bree says, I put me aside the last month and I felt so lost since I've been doing this inner work. Mom had COVID and I had to be the communicator between the doctors and family, spreading myself thin. Oh, puppy died. Oh, really have struggled with that. And I just snapped out of it because I didn't feel in alignment. So I decided to choose me again, and it's been a better last few days. Let's give Bree a ton of love, first off. And if you don't choose you, you can't expect anyone else to. If you put everyone else ahead of yourself for any reason, you are not just selling out on yourself, you're selling out on those other people too. Truly. You do not do anyone a service by sacrificing yourself for the needs of others. You really don't. It's just absolutely corrosive, and it's toxic, and it's depleting, and it's setting a shitty example for your kids. If you have kids, if you're hopping up on the cross and martyring yourself for the good of everybody else, guess what? You're telling your kids it's okay to not be happy. It's okay to not be happy as long as you're making other people happy. You're not doing anyone else any favors, and you're freaking killing yourself. I literally felt like I was dying, like emotionally and like physically, when I got down to Costa Rica. I was a shaky, depleted, neurotic, bitter, twisted up, fucking spaghetti knot of anxiety and fear and anger. I really was. All of that shit. And, that was something I really had to look at. Like, because I have this tendency to think that I'm invincible, that I'm this, like, unstoppable juggernaut that can push through and suffer through and blast through anything, and nothing can ever stop me, and I can just go forever, in whatever direction I want to go in, and that it doesn't matter what my actual needs are, or if it hurts, or if it's uncomfortable, or if whatever, and blah, 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 blah. That's been my story for a lot of my life. And the thing is, when I do that, when I just say, fuck it, I'm just going to blast through no matter what I'm saying, no matter what my body's telling me or what my heart is telling me or anything, that's when these layers of trauma and distortion and anxiety and fear start to accumulate. And let me tell you, nobody can do that sustainably forever. And it's toxic. It's toxic to live that way, and it's unsustainable, and it fucks up your energy. It just does, Stacey Magia says, definitely not easy to shift that energy. So familiar. Yeah. Oh my gosh, so many comments. But Bobby's like, but baby, look at you now. Yeah, look at me now. I'm 4 days off of caffeine, and I'm every day I'm checking in on myself. And so one of my big integrations coming out of this, so part of what I wanted to do in this Facebook Live is share some of the lessons that I'm learning out of this whole process. Dana says, was raised to sacrifice myself. Fuck that. I'm worthy of self-care. Yes, and we all are. We are worthy of self-care. Not only are we worthy of it, but it is absolutely necessary. It is crucial. It is critical. And so one of the big integrations that I got coming out of this experience is that every day, one of the big lessons that I got that I get to integrate is that every day is ceremony. Every day is a sacred process. So I get to embrace and adopt ritual every day. I get to get up and go for a walk with my dogs first thing in the morning. I get to meditate. I get to talk to God every morning. I get to sit in the sun and allow the vitamin D to soak through my skin for 20 total minutes a day every morning. I get to practice my Spanish every day because I'm going to be fluent in Spanish, or at least comfortable in Spanish, by the next time I go down to Costa Rica, right? I get to play music. I get to practice piano every day. I get to work on my business in a constructive, fulfilling way every day. I get to offload, integrations. The way we become the person we want to be and the way that we build the life we want to build is through the integration of daily habits, through integrating in things that we want, that are in alignment with what we want to create, and by releasing the daily habits and releasing the daily things that are not in alignment for me. One pattern that I found myself in before I left for Costa Rica was I was in a cycle of continual distraction. I was continually playing crap on YouTube, just crap, but funny, whatever, late night talk show clips, and just fucking junk. I was just constantly distracting myself with junk to distract myself from how shitty I felt. I was basically and that's the thing, the content that I was consuming was by and large kind of toxic and wasn't serving any constructive function in my life. And for me now, every day is ceremony. Every day is a sacred experience. We are not guaranteed another day. We are not guaranteed another chance to make a difference in the world. We are not guaranteed another day to honor ourselves and to honor the people that we love. So this is something, and that comes with truly living in the present moment and not just being continually obsessed with what's my next launch, what's my next thing in my business going to look like, holy shit, I don't know what I'm doing, oh my gosh, I can't believe this relationship just ended, blah, 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 blah. Either living in the past, obsessed with what happened in the past, or living in the future, obsessing and worrying about the future. I made a conscious choice that I'm not going to neurotically obsess and worry about the future, nor am I going to neurotically obsess and worry about the past anymore. I'm going to be here now. That's integration. I want to live in the present moment. Decaffeinated, emotionally stable, not cranked out of my gourd. I hope y'all can feel, I don't know if y'all can feel the level of presence and the level of groundedness that I'm bringing to this, but it's something that's really powerful. I mean, this is the energy that I want to live in from now on, not in that top spinning energy that I'm in a lot of the time, which is cool, but it's corrosive, and it was eating me alive. And so, it's adopting a new paradigm. It's adopting a new paradigm for my life of presence and gratitude and groundedness. This is the definition of integration. So again, y'all, the MAT challenge. Look at the last 3 months. Look at the last 6 months of your life. Whatever changes or transitions you've gone through over the past 3 months, 6 months, a year. And ask yourself, what are the lessons that these experiences are here to teach me? What does it look like for me to integrate those lessons into my life? And Jennifer says, was that behind your back pain? Jennifer, and that's the other part of this that I want to address, 100%, 100%, my lower back pain was connected to this energy and this emotional distortion that I've been experiencing. Because since I went on this retreat and I worked through and processed so much of that, my back pain reduced radically and dramatically. And I found a really cool book called Healing Back Pain, and it's a book about a condition basically called TMS, which is a chronic lower back pain issue that is totally 100% related to stress. 100%. It is a psychologically created chronic back pain issue that millions of people suffer from. And I have no doubt that what I experienced in my lower back had nothing to do with the discs in my back. It was my body and my mind and my heart and my neuroticism manifesting in my back. Because as soon as I worked through my shit, the back pain released dramatically. Is that crazy? Your body, the body always tells the story. Exactly, Louisa. It does. It does. And so what we get to do is we get to ask ourselves, what story is our body telling us? What lessons is our life telling us? How can we integrate these things into our life? You have so many more choices than you think that you do. I had a couple client calls today with a couple of clients who were deeply deeply in their shit. Deeply in victim conversations, feeling like the world is kind of out to get them and like things aren't working out and everything else. And I'm like, we get to be really careful of the stories we tell ourselves, because the instant we decide that, okay, this is how it is and this is the only way that it can be, then all of a sudden, the universe says, and so it is. So it is, and this is how it is from now on. And it doesn't have to be that way. Yeah. So can you integrate the lessons in your life? Can you look with curiosity at what you've experienced rather than with judgment and a million shoulds? Things should have worked out differently. This should have gone differently. That shouldn't have happened. This should have happened. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't be here right now. Fuck the present moment. It's a dangerous game to play when you look at the life and you look at the world around you and say, fuck this, I hate this. You're basically saying, fuck me, I hate myself. Because the present moment that you're existing in is a direct reflection of your thoughts, your energy, your vibration, your decisions, your habits, your patterns. That's why it's very dangerous and very toxic for us to say that we hate our lives, that we hate the present moment. Because then we're saying that we hate ourselves. And the present moment is always perfect because you're always perfect. And when you can embrace and love the present moment, even if it doesn't feel good, and you can look back at your past experiences and say, man, a lot of these things were very uncomfortable, but holy shit, I'm so glad that I went through them. Because now I've learned so much from that and I've grown so much from that now I can exist in this present moment and I can be a new, greater, more integrated, more expanded version of myself, because I'm going to take the time and the energy to integrate all that shit that I've learned into this moment so that I don't have to make those mistakes again. So I don't have to experience that suffering again. So I don't have to stay in a loop of getting shit that I don't want in my life. This is one of the most important aspects of integration, is that when we take the time to integrate and learn from our life experiences and from our relationships and from the people around us, then we can break and interrupt our patterns. We can shift our trajectory. We can integrate new things that make a dramatic difference in our lives. And we can become, at an even deeper level, the sole uncontested author of our lives. Give me a 1 if you're on board with this. Give me a 1 if this makes sense to you. Give me a 1 if this is something that you're willing to commit to. Because your identity is not fixed. Your life trajectory is not fixed. If you're able to adopt an attitude of, I'm going to go for it with my life. I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to have the courage to take my licks, learn my lessons, integrate them, and adjust and shift. If you have the courage to do that, then guess what? You're going to be able to create a life for yourself that is perfectly in alignment, perfectly authentic, perfectly, exactly what you want it to be. You are. Bree is down, Dana's down, Bobby's down, Justine's down, Aaron's down, Jade, Joanne, Tracy, Charlene, Brittany, Giselle. I freaking love it. Hi, Justine. So nice to see you, my dear. Yeah, so again, this may not be the sexiest topic to do Mondays with Matt on. But you know what? It doesn't always need to be sexy. For me, at this stage in my life, being integrated, being grounded, being present, being connected to my heart, living each day consciously, that is my deepest intention. I would rather have, and I don't think this has to happen, but I would rather have my business, not blow up next year than to have to sacrifice myself to do so. And so the challenge and what I get to do for myself, is to embrace a new paradigm that I can continue to grow my business and grow myself as a spiritual being and as a leader at an exponential rate without burning myself up with caffeine and stress and anxiety and force. Okay? And Giselle makes a great point. When we operate from a space of where we experience and integrate and experience and integrate and experience and integrate, when we adopt that pattern, you're operating as a witness to your life. And that's a powerful place to be, when you can witness the events and experiences of your life without judgment, without deep emotional attachment, without huge ego conversations around the way things should or shouldn't have gone. And you can just be a witness to what's happened, and you can be like, oh, well, that happened, and that didn't feel very good, but this is what I learned from it. I'm grateful for this experience, and now moving forward, I'm going to shift the way that I'm showing up, or I'm going to shift the way that I do something so that I don't have that experience again, and I can start moving in a different direction. That's the sauce. That's the sauce right there. You know what I'm saying? So give me a 1 if you are committed to being an integrated human being. Give me a 1 if you're committed to taking the Matt Challenge. Give me a 1 if you're committed to slowing down and creating space to reflect around the experiences of your life, the lessons, to find the gratitude in all the chaotic maelstrom of what you're experiencing right now. Give me a 1 if you're committed to not just living your life on frenetic, manic, deflective autopilot. Because one day, none of us are going to be here. One day, this beautiful, blessed blip of a moment that we have as human beings is going to end. And do you want to look back as you're, transcending to another dimensional space and say, wow, I ran like a fucking hamster on a wheel that entire time, and I made the same mistakes 1,000 times because I never took the time to learn what I was going through. I never took the time to learn the lessons that God was so desperately trying to share with me through peoples and through experiences and through all of this stuff. Let your trauma work for you. Let your shitball relationships work for you. Like, let your life work for you. Don't slave for it. Don't run from it. Don't hide from it. Don't deflect. Don't divert. Don't compartmentalize. Don't suppress. Don't repress. Feel it all. Experience it all. Witness it all. Release judgment. Release attachment to how it should have fucking gone. It had to go exactly how it went, because where you're at right now is absolutely fucking perfect. So let's move forward, y'all. Let's integrate. And for all of my magnets out there, we're going to be doing our November workshop this week. I'll be posting about that in the magnetic membership community. We'll probably do, I think we're going to do it on Friday. So stay tuned for that. I will see y'all. I'll put it in the events page and post a notification on the top of the wall, okay, in the magnetic membership community. So I will look for y'all over there. Can't wait to see you again in a few days. Sending y'all so much love. And namaste, Miss Moon. And I will talk to y'all very soon. Bye-bye.